Good morning. I just wanted to pop on this morning and talk to you about a few things. How to quieten the self-talk, how to reduce your anxiety, and how to release bottled emotions. So again, I'd like to welcome anyone watching on the replay or watching live. And like I said, I'm going to be speaking about how to quieten the self-talk, reduce bottled emotions, release bottled emotions, and reduce anxiety. So the first thing I want to speak about is the self-talk that's going on inside the mind, the chatter that's constantly going on. Now, the thing about it is we're not always aware of the chatter that's going on in the mind. And this, I would say, is the most important thing. We need to become aware that the talk is going on. So make that a priority. Tip one is to make that a priority, that you're going to try and learn how to become aware of the self-talk in the mind. Usually when we're upset about self-talk in our mind, it's actually anything negative is usually a lie and it's not the truth. The problem is we can believe it. If we're not aware of the fact that what the negative stuff is in the head, we think it's the truth, so you run with it. So tip two is to remember what you hear that's negative in your mind, it's actually only a lie and it's not real. So don't run with it. Just know that this is your mind trying to trick you and it's not real. So that's really important. And what you can do is, the third thing you can do to help with quietening your mind, and this works over time, also instantly, but it's something that you must try to bring into your life consistently, not just when your mind decides or that you've just noticed it. You've got to try and get into a system or a habit of acknowledging this, becoming aware of it and hearing it. And then what you can do is you can release it by actually sharing. Okay, I think we lost connection. We're back again. Great. So what you can do is you can become aware of what the thought was. And if it's troubling you, you can share how you feel around the thought. So if you're afraid of the thoughts or the thoughts that you're hearing or the self-talk, you say it out loud. I am afraid of my thought. It's actually very simple. Now, in a lot of cases, you want to share it with somebody who isn't going to try and fix it, who isn't going to try and change you or think that there's something wrong, because there's nothing wrong. It's only a thought that's in your mind and it's upset you, but you need to release it. If you hold on to it, this gets bigger and bigger and bigger and we resist. That's why it's really important to learn how to manage our emotions, our talk, and our anxiety. Because if we don't, if we ignore this stuff and if we push it away, it just gets bigger. What we resist gets bigger. So it's very important to know that it's okay to have the thought that you have or the emotion you have or the anxiety, but you need to learn how to manage it. And sometimes people are looking for what we call instant gratification, which is an instant fix. And unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way. And yes, we can get instant fix on releasing emotion and helping our self-talk and our anxiety. We actually can have instant fix. But the point is, you need to see this as a continuous journey. It's a daily process, because anyone who is aware of their emotions and aware of their anxiety and aware of their self-talk know that it's never going to go away. It's part of you and part of your life journey and your experience. We're human beings. We're always going to have emotions, and we'll have anxiety at certain points throughout our life or certain points throughout our day. Some people who suffer from constant anxiety need to learn how to release and relax deeply and often. Relaxation is the remedy to release fear and stress, is one remedy of releasing fear and stress. So people who manage or deal with anxiety really need to learn how to relax deeply and often. So So we spoke about the self-talk. Now I want to talk about the emotions and the anxiety. Like I said, what's really important is that you acknowledge your emotion and you acknowledge how you feel around it and your anxiety. So there was a study shown that people who put feelings and words on how they felt significantly reduced stress. It has a physiological effect on stress. So the study proved that the more words you put around how you feel, the more it reduces the stress. So this is really important to remember, that to identify with the feeling and to acknowledge the feeling and to put a word on the feeling. Tip number 2 is, like I said, name the feeling. Okay, because when you name it, then you're tipping into the physiological and you're learning how to release it. A tip you would have heard before is face the feeling, face the fear. So when we actually face our fear, it starts diminishing, because what happens is, if we're in a situation of fight or flight and we're feeling really uncomfortable and we want to run from a certain situation. So say you go into a store and you're afraid to be in there and you feel, I have to go, I'm going into a state of panic, I want to run. If you leave the store in that state, your mind is going to think that there's a threat there and you'll be afraid to go back to that store again. Now, we know that it's not a big deal. You can go into a new store, that's okay. But the point is that you want to learn how to manage the fear. So if you're in a situation where you're really afraid and you're uncomfortable and you're in a state of panic, if you can get yourself into a state of calm when you're in that situation by either deep breathing, trying to bring yourself back to the present moment, staying in the now, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute, you can bring your body back into a state of calm. And when you bring your physiological state back into calm, your mind then realizes that this is okay, it's not a threat, I'm not going to be killed per se. Because in most cases, when we go into fear and panic, it's actually not a threatful life or death situation. So just to go back to bringing yourself back into your body and into that moment, in that state of sort of panic, you can practice a very simple mindfulness technique where you feel your feet on the floor or you feel the seat supporting you. The moment you do that, you're actually in the present moment. So we can do that right now. You can feel your feet on the ground if you're standing, or feel the seat supporting you. So just give yourself that chance. Do it now. That means you're in the present moment. And there's a really good one that Eckhart Tolle speaks about. He says, if you close your eyes, how do you know you have hands? The reason you know is because you can feel the energy. You can feel your heartbeat pulsing through your fingers. So this is the same thing about bringing yourself from your head into your body, trying to stay present. So remember, it's acknowledge your feelings, learn how to deeply relax often to release fear and stress. Another really powerful technique is to name the feeling and share it out loud, or you can write it down, because studies have shown that when you release the emotion, it frees up your fear and anxiety and stress. As humans, we have a need to express, and we need to come out of isolation. So when you have troublesome emotions or thoughts that are upsetting you, you don't necessarily have to share what is upsetting you, but you need to share the feeling around it. And what this does is it releases and breaks the isolation. And when I say share, I mean you can say it out loud to somebody, like I said, or you can write it down. This is releasing the emotion. The Then another good thing to do is if you're in a state of high anxiety or panic, you can go and use your breath. So you breathe in slow, but you breathe out slower and longer. And when you do this, it brings you back into your body again. And yes, it's a mindfulness technique. So what's really important is I want you to understand that it's a work in progress. We are a work in progress. And when we have, as a human being, we're always going to have emotions and we're always going to have the self-talk. And we will, some people who suffer from anxiety is always going to have the anxiety. It's just the way to manage it. And like I said, there's very simple techniques and tools to be able to manage these, but it's about getting into a habit and realizing that you're not on your own and that there is an awful lot of people daily dealing with this stuff, but you have to take control of it. You have to say to yourself, I am going to use these simple techniques. And the thing about it is, it's not to just use them while you're going through this fear or anxiety or stress, or where your emotions have gotten so big that you feel like you're going to explode. It's to do it when you're feeling okay as well. That's the big thing that people don't realize. You might be having a great day, a great week, a great month, a great year, but we still need to be nurturing and focusing in on our mental, emotion and spiritual health. It is a daily practice of getting into healthy habits of mindfulness techniques and different techniques to acknowledge and release the emotion. So when I say it's like a daily practice and that there's work involved, there is work involved, but it's enjoyable work and it's not really difficult to, once you know how to do these things, they can become really, really easy to use. But it's vital that you look after your mental health and your emotional health and your spiritual health, and then your physical health also. So this might sound like a big thing that needs to be done. These tips are very, very simple, but we need to be practicing them because the mind will take over. And like I said, our behavior is often a reflection of how we feel and think. So most things come from the thoughts. We need to be aware of the thoughts. So build that base, build that foundation for yourself. Now, one service I want to speak about is that I actually provide a service of sharing those emotions by written or by audio. So you don't have to be on your own or think that you're alone with that. But it's very important that you make sure that you learn how to release these emotions, okay? And that there's nothing wrong with them. But if you don't, what happens is they build and build and build. And sometimes you might think, something small might bother you and you might think, it's not a big deal, it's fine. But then something else might happen the next day or even on the same day or the next week. And over time, what happens is if you don't tap in and say, well, actually, I felt hurt there, or I was really annoyed, or why did they do this to me? Or if you don't acknowledge how you feel about that situation, it builds and builds and builds and builds. So it's really important to acknowledge it and to say, okay, I feel this way, but to share it so that you can learn to let it go. So I wanted to talk to you about as well that it's not too late to jump into my online program. We have started a few days ago, but we're at the very start stages, so that's absolutely fine. I am going to be closing my offer, today's Sunday, so it's tomorrow evening at midnight. We won't be able to jump in after that. And I'm very excited to say that what you will learn in the first 2 weeks, you're going to check in with there's a self-assessment around your emotions and around your life. And what that'll do is make you check in and try and identify your feelings. Like I spoke about putting the words on the feelings. That's what the assessments do. They help you to acknowledge how you feel about different things. Then what you will do is you'll be putting in a daily practice of 3 daily practices in the first 2 weeks One takes less than 1 minute. The two other ones take 5 minutes each. They're enjoyable 5-minute practices. They're not anything that's really difficult to do. And the thing about these 3 very powerful techniques, you will notice immediate change within the first week to 10 days. Even if you practice one of these techniques for a few weeks or a few months, just one, you'll notice the difference. But in actual fact, in module 1 of my online program, you'll be practicing 3 of these techniques in the first 2 weeks. And then when module 2 comes in, you're going to get some more different techniques to practice. These are lifelong skills and tools that you will take away with you and you can use. And the thing is, when you realize how powerful they are and that they work for you, you'll always know that you can use them when you need them going forward. Because like I said, releasing emotions, reducing anxiety and your self-talk, it's not a fix. You're never going to be fixed or relieved 100% of these things. What you're going to do is you're going to realize so much about your self-talk and realize so much about your emotions, of that they're okay to have them and that you don't need to be disturbed or upset or troubled by these emotions or the thought going on or the anxiety, that there is a way to manage them. So like I said, my online program, it's not too late to jump on. And also there's a new offer if you want to split the cost with a friend. The 2 of you can do it together. So I'm very excited to let you know that that's what you're going to learn in the first 2 weeks of the module 1, that you'll be doing daily activities, 2 5-minute ones that are really enjoyable, one that'll take you less than 1 minute, and alone, if you just used actually one of these, and if you were to try and tap into the practice of using this daily for the rest of your life, you will see transformation. They're very powerful. The problem is people find it very hard to continue a practice. And this is what we need to do. We need to realize how important it is to take control of our mind, and that we must put the practice in, and we must continue the practice throughout our days, throughout the weeks, throughout the months. And even when things are good, you really need to bring it back and continue it, because if you don't do it in the good times, then it gets really bad in the bad times. So that's what's really important. So guys, I'm going to leave you with that, and I hope that you receive some really good information there and realize that there is a way, there's a solution, there's an answer to releasing emotions, so you don't have to be held hostage by your emotions or your anxiety or your self-talk. These are practices that you need to implement into your life and be free, so that you can be happy and free in your mind and have peace of mind and be content in yourself, and learn that your mind is a part of you. It's not you, it's a part of you, and it doesn't need to control your whole life. You control your mind so you can have the life you want. So I leave you with that, and I hope that you have a lovely Sunday. And I see someone said hello. Hi Mick, how are you doing? Good to see you. I hope that you managed to get some good information there, and if you didn't, if you missed the start, just watch on the replay. So I'm just at the end, guys, so I hope you have a lovely Sunday, and I'll be in touch again this week with a live, so I look forward to that.